palm oil front, Malaysia and Indonesia have recently committed to establish the Council of Palm Oil Producing Countries in an attempt to jointly tackle fresh challenges in this key agricultural sector. To discuss this and more, we are joined by Dr. Mahathir Mardan, who is the CEO of the Malaysian Palm Oil Board, and he joins me now in the studio. Welcome back. Last time we had you here, you were quite optimistic perhaps in how things could happen for the plantation sector under Budget 2015, but Budget 2016, given the challenges that we now face from the commodities complex, are you optimistic?
I think it would be a mixed bag from 2016. Number one, the effect of the haze will be seen in 6 months' time on the production. Already now, starting last week, there's a significant drop in the CPO production. Even though price is going up, it's because of the ringgit is plummeting. And I think other than that, we are very hopeful about the cooperation between Indonesia and Malaysia in establishing the Council of Palm Oil Producing Countries. And I think this would address issues like excess stockpile, about biodiesel as renewable energy, and maybe other opportunities in oleochemicals and all that.
And there is concern that Malaysia's stockpiles will hit a record nearing 3 million in the month to come, perhaps. So what could this Council of Palm Oil Producing Countries attempt to do to rein this in?
Okay, number one, we need to diversify the utilization. Malaysia itself is an export-led when it comes to palm oil. We use hardly 10%. 90% of our export, and we make ourselves vulnerable to the market forces. Indonesia is having more than double the hectareage that we have. They have about 10.5 million hectares. We got 5.39. But between Malaysia and Indonesia, we have a shared destiny in oil palm, being a producing country. So there are issues on export duty, taxes, about labor, about the excess stockpile, about biodiesel mandate, which I think we should be on the same page on many issues, so that being a producing countries.
So how do we be on the same page regarding those export duties?
For instance, like we can liberalize the market on export duty by Indonesia, so that we can make it, rather than putting Indonesia put it 50 ringgit and then we increase another to tit and tat for that. I think we need to engage into a more mature relationship in being.
So to move in concert, perhaps.
Yes, but yeah, I think we must address our common interest in this production.
Now, given that Malaysia is one of the key producers of palm oil, how could it perhaps play a role as an industry in boosting government revenue?
Well, if you look at the last 4 years, it has been like from 80 billion upstream, downstream, going down to 74, 70, 64, 61. For 4 years in a row, it has been dropping as far wide as dropping by 20 billion. I think it's high time Malaysia and Indonesia have to look at it. And for instance, why we should be very concerned in Indonesia, because more than 30% of Indonesian plantations are owned by Malaysians in that sense. So I think we have a common interest to address this. And opportunities in oleochemicals, pharmaceuticals, and I think these are growth areas. And it's no more just purely raw CPO, but processed CPO in that sense.
So moving up the value chain, supporting
Yes.
palm oil prices are aspects that the Council could perhaps look at. Something, of course, in the limelight, haze, which is laid at the feet of the plantation sector. And there are concerns that Indonesia may scale back on its no deforestation pledge. So how to address this as an industry?
We have to be real careful here. As of the latest information, what we find out that from the forest fires in Indonesia, hardly 3% are from the plantation. So we may say that maybe 4 or 5 years ago, but not anymore, because some of the big plantations have the standard operating procedures about how to keep up the fires, how to address getting the community involved in putting out fires and all that, and they develop standard operating procedures to prevent this to happen.
And how best to engage the smallholders, because they're the ones who clear the land using this type of burning, for example. So what kind of ways could the council help in that?
For instance, when there is a fire reported near the plantation, it has to be reported to the police. And then the community must be engaged, because if it starts from them, we have to engage them to put it out. And I think more than anything else, if they can agree on a common goal, then I think, for instance, if we cannot remain to be oblivious about forest fires, about the haze, because it will be shooting ourselves in the foot. Because if this is going to recur every year, people will ask us the question, you have been engaging in the bilateral, why can't you address these days? So I think, I strongly believe with the good president in Indonesia, Jokowi, and I think with the commitment from Malaysia, I think we hope to be sharing our resources to help each other in putting out the fires and the haze. And it does not come immediately. I believe it will take quite a while, but bear with us, it should be scaling down in years to come.
And this week marks 1 year of Jokowi's administration, so quite a timely comment there. Now, thank you so much for joining us around the table here on the Bloomberg TV Malaysia set. Thank you once again. That was Mahathir Mardan, CEO of the Malaysian Palm Oil Board.